Even in the middle of a meeting, the winged beastman guard never lay off of my person. I hope you enjoy your stay in this fantastical realm. Puis your current location in the comment section, and if you enjoy the article, please subscribe. With his usual elegance, André Veland disembarked from the shuttle. The landing platform of the Beastwoman embassy is made of polished black stone, and his feet lightly click against it. Sunlight reflected off the thin air and glistened on the enormous glass dome above him. Supported by a network of gravitational fields and magnetic onshore, the embassy swam low above the contentious planet of Virean. The structure resembled a palace crafted from crystal and steel. It was expansive and angular, with an exotic yet refined style. The legaturier around him, interpreté made a law of noise, and silent, sleek surveillance drone hovered above. I looked across the audience. André fiddled with the collar of his diplomatic corps outfit, trying to figure out where his designated bodyguard was. The time he had to wait was little. He felt a sudden rush of air and then heard a resounding crash from behind his chair. In a half cocoon formation, two powerful wings encircled André's shoulder before he could turn around, drawing him back into something solid in a gentle firm manner. I breathed in the aroma of untamed flowers and metal. His chair sagged a little under the extra weight. His initial reaction was to stand up and create some space, but the wind tensed enough to restrict him from moving around too much. André, a deep, smooth voice approached from behind him. You are an early human. From what I've heard, your species strong its punctuality. André coquet said ever so slightly, being caught you not to snag the shiny violet fur that suddenly encircled him. Standing at least a head taller than him, she wore iridescent chiari marking engraved onto matte black armor, barely holding her shape in check. Her wings cocked golden glint with every shift, shimmering slightly in the ambient light. Even by human standard, her symmetrical sharpness was appealing, and her visage definitely belonged to beast folk. As she observed him, her calm evaluation and keen interest illuminated her golden eyes. Consistently, André stated, he wasn't expecting a theatrical entrance without becoming angry or withdrawing. He was measured in his tone, not impolite. The security liaison was informed by Ambassador Creve that they would formally meet with me in the council room. I'm not one for protocol, she responded. The word they waste time and leave opening escaped André's lips. I slowly exhaled. Ici. Aurora, you must be. André was finally able to sit up straight after she drew back her wings. That is right. He will now watch out for you. By your side, he always follow. He will take a hand off of anyone who reach out to you. He glanced over at her side. He will wait outside if he feels the need to use the restroom. Quite the opposite, actually. Refraining from smirking, André persisted. His first day on a peace mission didn't go according to plan. Non-elle, et didn't persevere inept, rater, she was intense. Along the way to the inner chambers, they could feel her wing beats, which were silent yet constant. He didn't speed up to evade her or slow down to make himself look scared, et juste maintained a constant pace. Her aura was intimidating, but André had dealt with narcissistic senator and egotistical warlord previously. Aurora got her up update a couple of unexpected landing would frighten him, but she was wrong. A work of transparent engineering, the council chamber was. It was as if the whole room were floating in midair. As if you were standing inside a soap bubble, the floor, walls, and ceiling are all constructed of reinforced transparent crystal. Rivers that looked like veins of molten silver and illuminated communities spread out forever beneath the surface of Virean. While André made his entrance, the legate from all factions sat shadily around a central curved platform, whispering amongst themselves. A Edronir, a dozen or so gas shifted to him, a few more focused in interest a Aurora trailed behind him, striding with the precision of a soldier. He took his place at the table after a court tube to the room. As soon as he found a comfortable position, a sudden gust of wind signaled Aurora's return, and this time she landed much more forcefully than before. Sitting on the slightly elevated guard rail behind him, her wings spread out like a shield as she sat on his chair, her arms comfortably resting on her knees. It seemed like someone across the table could. Excuse-me, enforced Aurora, said a delegate from the Lortasian race with red skull. For this proceeding, your position is odd. My only concern is protecting my charge from any potential harm, be it a poison, telepathic attack, or missile. Aurora responded without flinching. The bridge of Andre's nose was punched. He understand the need to be vigilant, but maybe some breathing room would be helpful. Quietly, she moved, took not very far. While her wings slightly retracted, they remained half wrapped behind this chair-like drape, providing him with elbow room. Even Andre could feel a heavy star on his neck, and opted to ignore it and pay attention to the conversation. It was to be anticipated that the peace negotiation would start slowly, awkwardly, with etiquette and all grudge abounding. The Carrie were adamant about claiming sovereignty over the high atmospheric zone that was rare sky crystal utilized in the energy system of both Earth and Carrie civilization, while Earth's official sought trade normalization. André diffused escalating tension between two delegates by skillfully interjecting. In his familiar role a diplomatic translator and bridge builder, he drew on similarity from Carrie and human history. Almost a silent affirmation, he felt the wing of Aurora tap his shoulder on sa spoke. His voice gained assurance and continued forward without turning around. Not only did she notice, but so did Otter. Even with that enormous Kerari virtually resting on top of him, he appeared remarkably composed, according to a few delegates who started chatting about it. André got up and went to get a drink of water as soon as the first round of negotiation ended. Naturally, Aurora trailed behind. He replied in a low, collected voice that landing behind me was unnecessary. Distraction abound. Curieux, she inquired. To all individual, myself included. She arched an eyebrow. It is the way we safeguard individual entrusted to our care. Clear meaning is conveyed by wings. I am here to protect you, and everyone should know it. Even to know you're trying to help, he needs space to get things done. Could you tone it down a bit? She might have been grinning, but her lips quivered anyway. It will be considered. André returned to his makeshift rooms that night and, peering through the glass ceiling, stared at the star. Despite his lack of fear, she added an extra layer of difficulty. The tip that didn't exacerbate the situation, but rather caused a slight disturbance that caused him to doubt the routine he had become accustomed to. Even after turning off the light, he had trouble falling asleep. Aurora was probably circling overhead somewhere outdoor, and knew that. The following day's events might be anything, but he was beginning to worry that they wouldn't be dull. The following morning, André was up and about before the automated sunrise sequence of the embassy lights had completed. While studying the intelligence report from the previous night, he sat on the edge of his bed, fully dressed, and sipped from a mug of synthetic tea that was only half-weighted. Scratching his head, he noticed a pattern of economic sabotage and small factional disruption on the outering of the Chiari trade network, all of which pointed to intentional interference with the peace effort. Although no action had been taken directly by the saboteur as yet, the pattern was obvious to everyone looking. As the room's shooter shook from a burst of pressure air, he rose up and crossed out the appropriate area on his tablet. Hissing open, the door blocked his path to the control panel. With her wings spread wide and her sense sharp, Aurora swooped in without a signal. Her armor appeared to be lighter than the one she wore yesterday, a more pliable version with skull covering her rib cage and joint, and she was already clad in it. Finally meeting his eyes, she glanced about, nodded sharply to check the room's security, and then stared at him. "You're up bright and early," she remarked as she strode in and shut the door behind her with her clawed hand. I prefer to begin the day with update, André responded non sarcastically. Aurora tilted her head, her golden eyes narrowing slightly, and said, helps me figure out who is trying to stab us in the back before breakfast. That isn't hypocrisy. He hesitated before passing her the table containing the summaries d'intelligence. She accepted it silently and began to study it, her face slightly tensed, and noted that she didn't blink much, as if she had been trained to absorb facts rapidly under pressure. This report didn't reach the council, she whispered. Someone filtered the routing node again. Exactly, André chimed in. Someone in this embassy wants the peace process to fail, but they're hidden behind protocol and bureaucracy. And whether it is, they're smart enough to know which data stream no one double check. Aurora put the table back in his hand. After a long moment of silence, she spoke up again, saying, you said yesterday that my presence is distracting. I'll bring you hardware latte. We'll run our own secure loop without role node or council oversight. Her wings brushed against the ceiling as she walked towards the window, and she stared down at Virian's surface below. I had my doubt as well. I apologize if he offended you, André said as he leaned on the table and saw her reflection in the window. Aurora whispered, among my people. I simply need room to think occasionally. Being apart shows distrust. Being close to someone means you're willing to risk everything to protect them. You're not a burden, you're a promise. After giving it some thought, he nodded. However, her promise was interfering with his work. She pivoted, her wings pressed close to her back. Then, let's find a middle ground. During official session, I'll stay behind the line. Outside the chamber, I'll do what is necessary. Her eyes gleamed as she said, you're learning. The mood had already turned so by the time they reached the council chamber, one of the Loraxian delegates had skipped out, and a younger representative had insisted on renegotiating previously agreed clause because he was terrified of me. You, on the other hand, aren't. I've dealt with enough species to know when to flinch and when to stand still. André observed the Carrie ambassador's restrained agitation as his feet bristled slightly. From his seat, he stayed calm, carefully selecting his words to steer the conversation back toward stability. Aurora, with her wings furled buttons, stood a few steps behind him, honoring their agreement. Although she didn't land this time, her presence remained a silent shield. The younger Loracian made a number of provocative statements during the meeting, clearly aiming to get André to react, but he let most of them go unrecognized until he saw his chance and leaned forward. If your people truly desire parody, then you'll agree that a shared resource treaty benefit both sides. So André's nervous breathing as the meeting progressed. Even though Drew mumbled something, the provocation was diverted and the pressure went back to the other side. Aurora remained motionless, but he could feel her silent approval as a gentle breeze behind him. The meeting ended 2 hours later with a temporary consensus restored, but André knew that the fragile peace wouldn't remain for long. After that, he and Aurora went into a separate briefing room, where the walls weren't see-through and the vibe was more casual and less formal. The moment the door shut, Aurora strode over to the main control panel and turned on a localized jamais, saying rather bluntly, someone is feeding that l'oration key d'instruction. Et est too polished for someone supposedly new. He noticed the micro flicker in his left ear as André pulled up the surveillance log. Aurora grinned sharply and suddenly. Then we will flush him out. He will intercept his next channel up. You will be him with an offer he can't refuse. We will watch who he contact. And if the message leaks, we will know who leaked it. They toiled away into the night, concocting the B message and configuring the Dequa data stream. André reclined in his chair, breathing out through his nose. You're good at this, she remarked. He didn't become an elite carry guard because of my charm, she added. Tuggy have been told my landing are memorable. He chuckled once, surprising even himself. And she was right. Aurora, who was efficient, focused, and totally at his inner role, could Andreas I more than the screen as the embassy lights faded into the gentle purple of night cycle. But beneath her armored professionalism, there was something softy, a spark that appeared when she spoke simply and without formality. Are you judging my posture? She asked when she spotted him staring. He spoke up, saying, I'm evaluating your effectiveness. In just 2 days, you had protected the mission more than the anti-Earth security staff had done in their entire lives. More times than anyone can count, I've used my wings to abduct you. With a subtle smile, he acknowledged the truth. But you're reliable, I suppose. They remained silent for a while. Her face was illuminated by gentle shadow created by the console light, which brought out the shine in her fur and the curvature of her jaw. At this point, her gaze seemed less menacing. You have more faith in me than you acknowledge, she whispered softly. According to André, he is not the sort to admit it. Indeed, I do. Now you must believe me. Things are about to go downhill, and he will be there when we reach a potentially hazardous point. Regardless of your opinion on my landing. After a lengthy period of staring, he finally nodded. Next time, just give me a 5-second head up. He will not make any commitment. She then brushed past him and disappeared down the hall, her movement a subtle a whisper. It was that night when André realized he wouldn't be able to sleep. The soundproofing measures taken by the embassy were ineffective in calming his racing thoughts. If waiting for something to shatter the silence, the regular hum of the atmospheric circulator simply served to extend it. Beneath the citrus ceiling, he lay in the dark, gazing at the faraway arc of the planet below, which glowed like a dormant match. He kept going back to what had happened that day. With this, Aurora had slipped into the shadow of espionage, and the missing data and interruption from the young Laurentian were further complicating matters. Being a bodyguard wasn't her only role. He was confused about her favorite role and how she used it with him. She had brain, muscle, instinct encased in violet fur and wings. Anxiety eventually won out. After getting dressed, André followed his feet as they meandered through the upper hall of the embassy. The vast windows let in the dim starlight from the surrounding space, and the hall were silent, lighted only by gentle blue strip along the floor. I rounded the bend, and was surprised to see her standing alone on the open observation deck, as he had anticipated seeing no one. Despite his advance, she remained motionless. With her arms resting on the rail and her golden eyes fixed on the star, she had her wings folded tightly. Murmure, I thought he was the only one awake, he said. She responded, you're not, and then she turned away. André kept his distance from her and walked side by side with her. There was no better place on earth to see the star than from this vantage point. Every star seemed to be breathing. Prone to insomnia. Your thoughts are too busy, she remarked. You seem to be carrying that burden more openly than the average person. It took a moment to respond. Her tone was one of observation, the voix of Annie of sarcasm or challenge. Like you've been keeping tabs on me or something. I will watch over you, she declared. Being a watcher is my duty. You've been up to more than that. Sincere and unintentional, he said the truth. It appeared like you've been observing me closely. No, she admitted it. The first step in protecting or harming someone is to understand them. He understood the connotation. Perché on the railing, André beheld the languid orbit of a faraway moon. Where I am in relation to the other? The winds of Aurora changed. Approaching nearer. He didn't anticipate how challenging you would be. Around us, most people either squirm or duck their head. You believe that you don't. Even when you're not shy, you calculate. Maybe I'm just good at hiding it. Perhaps, she finally turned to face him and said. They shared a moment of quiet that was heavy with unspoken meaning. Upon meeting his gaze, she remained fixed. From a close distance, André could make out a subtle, vibrant shimmer, like electrified silk, gliding along the underside of her feet. Et couldn't place the change, et couldn't tell when she'd gone from being a soldier to something else entirely. There was something in the air between them, but was hesitant to label it just yet. He spoke slowly, asking if he remembered well, you mentioned having a human life partner in the past. Prior to the conflict. For the first time, Aurora appeared almost timid à her eyes dipped ever so slightly. Indubitably, a field commandé. Jar was his name. In the waning days of the Caritan battle, he rescued me. Rescued me from a blazing disaster. Overly courageux and careful, he was a real character. He failed miserably. No, she stated plainly. I helped him, he passed away on the extraction shuttle, bleeding to death. Prior to his departure, he advised me to log more. Nothing was mentioned by André. Recognizing that there was no correct way to respond, he allowed himself to be silent. Her voice was quiet and steady as Aurora glanced up once more. He refused to take on any further protection mission after him. Recruit training and the pursuit of rebel cells kept me in the military. They claimed he needed to have an understanding of people and have previously decided to trust one, so he accepted the position. And now you're stuck with me, André replied with a of sardonic humor. She hardly cracked a smile. You're not the worst choice, a low volume alarm sounded on Andre's wristwatch. He looked it over and scowled. Still more data spikes. 10 minutes ago, Someone gained access to the communication relay. Secure lip signal from the outside. Aurora's wings fluttered open a little. Follow me. He didn't think twice about following her. Swiftly navigating the embassy's central corridor, they sidestepped the manhole and slithered into auxiliary hallway and maintenance shaft. Aurora remained by his side at all times, moving stealthily and efficiently. Above the east wing signal relay, they came to a stop close to a vented terminal. Aurora showed the access record by tapping into the overhead panel. Among the lower tier assist, she said, a message was retrieved off read. It alerted a relay station close to her test surface. The coordinates were read by André, who scowled. Someone left that station. Seem like it's not. Closing the panel, she shifted her attention to him. It is outside of the embassy's jurisdiction, yet we must investigate it. We must fill a mission plan in accordance with council practice, this will alert whoever is keeping tabs on US. André H.S. completed. Her brow furrowed. A less formal proceeding follows. He will arrange for a cover conveyance. Here we have the bad data. He was sincere. Is this really the best course of action? If you ask me a question, he will always answer. Aurora pleaded with him, saying, don't stop trusting that now. He nodded in comprehension. Sure, I'm game. For a little while, they went back to their rooms. André remained at the window once again as Aurora got everything ready in the room across. I allowed the gravity of her story to sink in, and gazed at the arc of the horizon. Jarek, the one she had trusted and lost a protector. Now this mission, on the brink of political interference and act of sabotage. Upon her return, she had a more refined armor design, matte and silent, and a heat-dampening mesh covering her wings. A small communicator was thrown to him by her. If we separated, hold the signal until he find you. He assumed that as a promise, not a suggestion. It's both, she responded with a stern tone. They slipped out of the embassy during the fake sunset. Even to André made an effort to concentrate on the task at hand, the peril, the consequence his mind kept returning to the way she had stared at him on the deck. The intimacy, the sensitivity of her voice, and the burden of someone who is prepared to bear more than simply his guardianship. Something had changed, he took to himself a day quietly boarded the stealth skimmer and soared into the night. In both of them, not only her dependency was not his norm. Yet Aurora was unique, and they saw in his good that their goal and the delicate, unspoken bond they were developing would be put to the test by whatever they discovered on that deserted station. In the pilot's seat, he caught a glimpse of her golden eyes studying the night sky ahead, her wings spread out as if she were carrying the entire sky on her back. Not only was he ready for whatever was ahead, but he was also eager to confront it with her at first since his arrival at the embassy. With ETS shrouded in a light warping field that shimmered like ripple in a pond, the skimmer silently sliced through the atmosphere. While fastened to his seatbelt and trying to concentrate, Andre's eyes wandered to the scenery below. We could see the deserted relay station. A slender, rusting edifice suspended over a rocky plateau, partially obscured by the foliage that encircled it. Over time, the metal surface was eroded due to exposure and lack of maintenance. However, ETS persistence was revealed by the sliver of light from operational relay beacon. When Andre saw the arrangement, his jaw tightened. The reactivation of a blacklisted communication system, concealed within a relic, had been accomplished by an incident. Now it was more than just act of sabotage. Coordinated espionage was what this was. Aurora remained silent as she maneuvered the skimmer into a OV position 100 meters away, guiding it along a concealed descending route that ran along a ridge covered in trees. With unwavering concentration, her moved with a mechanical precision. Even though Andre had become accustomed to her company in recent days, observing her in mission mode was a whole new ballgame. Ashia's memory was jogged that she was more than a mere honorary guard. When it was necessary, she acted like a predator. At this particular moment, her entire body exuded an air of preparedness. With their boots stomping on the gentle moss and rock, they quietly and swiftly dismounted. Thick with static and faraway extraterrestrial bug, the air buzzed with life. In order to catch the person or people responsible for the embassy data theft, Andre used a data spike equipped with a base script, which was an inflated treaty draft. Aurora continued forth, her wings tucked low against her back, her armor nearly disappearing into the rugged landscape. Silence spoke volume and followed her signal, trusting her pace. They discovered the main service hatch welded with a bypass panel at the base of the station, after it had been wrenched open. The work was quick and sloppy, but it demonstrated that the person was familiar with Chiari tech. Andre shook his head and looked at the weir. Not just any grain could have done this. The person terrain were fully aware of their action. Aurora nodded sharply before anchoring down at the entrance. He will take the lead. There was no diss from him. She glided inside with the elegance of a cat. Shortly after, he could barely make out her voice over his earpiece. Very clear. A singular hit source. Moving in, station core level. Along came Andre. He was affected immediately by the musty air. The station's interior was dark and dusty, with cable hanging from the ceiling like leaf elvin. But the sound of force was obvious. Key system had some functionality restored, but it was done covertly. The more they dug, the more Andre's got churned at the thought that this building had been lived in, not simply used recently, a they passed landed console and cracked monitor. Food packet, improvised mattress, and even a bundle of encrypted CDs. A long-term resident had made their way here. They came to a halt at the core access tunnel. Aurora lowered her torso and stiffened her wings as she raised to finger. Andre held the data spike in reading and stepped to the side. As usual, she moved silently first, but a pulse tugged one off with a sudden electric pop as she turned the corner. Aurora was thrown backward against the wall, however her armor managed to absorb much of the damage. This didn't pause Andre. He dashed inside and skidded to a halt next to her. Are you alright, she asked, her voice lasted with a low growl, as she stood up in response. Her wings somia extended, with singed bu en broken fitter. From above, a distorted bu audible voice said, Someone is watching us. Envoie, you shouldn't have shown up. You're no longer involved, André said, raising an eyebrow. You're meddling with galactic peace talk, which affect everyone. Peace is just a mirage. The voice spat. Progress is being held back by this leash. We were meant to conquer, not negotiate. Aurora looked around the room. Es using Econode to route his signal. E can't triangulate just yet. André connected the spike to the closest console, his finger flitting over the control. Keep him talking, Aurora ordered. Aurora's voice was sharp and challenging, and she yelled out, Cowardice doesn't suit your philosophy. If you believe in conquest, come down and face us. There was a pause, and then bitter laughter. You think you're still a warrior, Kerari? You've turned yourself into a bodyguard for a human bureaucrat. A hidden panel slid open across the room, unveiling a concealed stairwell. André understood instantly that she was meeting his eyes and that this wasn't about pride, but about buying time. He isolated a signal loop and slammed a command into the core processor. Got you. Et continued. They moved silently forward, with André at the back keeping an eye out for Tra and Aurora at the head, close poised. The stairwell descended into a cramped chamber, illuminated only by the faint green light from a central command terminal. A figure stood there, face concealed by armor. He removed the mask and said, he had hoped to stay hidden longer. André's eyes narrowed in confusion. Major Terran Intelligence. I know your face. The man smiled grimly and continued, yes, and I know your, Velan. You and your fantasy of peaceful coexistence. Aurora began to advance, but he held up a small device and threatened to destroy the data uplink if she won any furte. André remained calm and collected. We need to hide in ruin if they believe their cause is rigged too? The man looked and looked at Aurora. These aliens think compromise is strong, but it's actually weakness. Beast woman, you're the worst of them. You sacrificed your clothes for diplomacy, Aurora said in a deadly, low voice. He never gave them up. With a single motion, her wings propelled her forward. The man had pressed the button, but she had already slammed into him, disarming the detonator with her claws in midair. The force of the collision sent them tumbling against the wall. André swiftly charged forward, securing the terminal, stopping the countdown and preserving the data. André turned to see Aurora pinning the agent to the ground with one claw at his throat. Her eyes were burning gold, but she refrained from striking. Not worth killing, she whispered. Let him ruin a cell. Aurora nodded and activated a beacon, signaling that the embassy was retrieving a package from their position. One hostile was being transported. As the buzz of the beacon resounded through the air, Aurora rose to her feet and faced him, her posture unwavering despite the charred fitter and fractured armor at the shoulder. Are you okay? She asked. Are you asking me? He inquired, to which she nodded in response. She stared at him for a long time before she moved nearer, finally speaking, you're the one who flew into a live explosive zone to save a treaty. She gently placed her hand on his chest, covering his hat. You would have done the same, maybe, but not with wings, she said, her lips curving into a weary smirk. Then it's a good thing I'm here. Meanwhile, the stars were shining outside once again, and André realized the threat wasn't limited to secret passage or sabotage shame. As they made their way back to the embassy, the star had changed position in the sky, and the artificial sun cycles were beginning to rise through the top panel of the dome. The skimmer coasted into the docking bay without making a scene, était sentir surface scorched and betraying a fin vapor from stress fracture, but undamaged.